Greetings from the NorthOps studios in Redding, California. I'm your host, Jeff Tonkin, with today's Northern California Fire Weather Webcast. Fire activity picked up across the North State yesterday. One new large fire, the Biscar, along Highway 395 in eastern Lassen County, stands at near 3,200 acres this morning with 0% containment, while the Brook Fire, northeast of Redding, shown here, just south of Shasta Lake, grew rapidly yesterday. This morning's report indicates growth to near 410 acres and 15% contained. This fire warranted numerous evacuations. There were approximately 34 lightning strikes recorded across Northern California over the last 24 hours, most of which occurred across the east side of the North State, and one responsible for starting the Biscar fire. As far as precipitation over the last 24 hours, shows very light shower activity in the area of yesterday's thunderstorm activity. However, note the amounts are very light, indicating a higher efficiency in the strike to ignition of fire ratio. There are no red flag warnings or fire weather watches in effect across the nation. A bit surprising considering it is middle to late July. And taking a look at this morning's water vapor imagery shows a distinct boundary separating a very dry band of air across the Pacific Northwest and a stream of moisture from Tropical Storm Elida moving north to northeast, heading toward the northern Rockies. This elevated moisture will likely be a factor for promoting thunderstorms across the North State over the next few days. Visible imagery this morning shows plenty of cumulus across southeast California, while the band of moisture from Elida showing up as high cirrus clouds moving southwest to northeast across the North State. Looking closely, there are still some convective thunderstorms just west of Tahoe, stretching northward across the eastern counties. These clouds did produce some lightning strikes earlier. Reviewing the modeled upper-level forcing pattern and starting with this morning, shows the stubborn ridge of high pressure still centered over the Four Corners region, a weak area of low pressure over the East Pacific just west of the Bay Area, and Tropical Storm Elida due south of that. Note the flow around the ridge helping to deliver the moisture from Elida into the western states. Looping this model into late next week shows the ridge over the Four Corners region remaining stationary but expanding back westward, stretching over Nevada and California. Tropical Storm Elida moves northward, getting caught in the southwest flow and crossing into the Pacific Northwest while dissipating. The next tropical storm is evident well west of Baja, but appears to take a more westerly track than Elida. And continuing to loop into next weekend shows that next tropical storm moving into the eastern Pacific, and based on its position could eject remnant moisture into the westerly flow headed toward Northern California. The mid and upper level moisture surge from Elida begins in earnest today, but as we loop the model forward, you can see Northern California continues to see this moisture remain in the air mass all the way through Wednesday before drier air finally arrives, shown here in this last frame. The model thunderstorm footprint shows activity as early as today and tonight across the mountains surrounding the Sacramento Valley, shown here, with a focus of isolated thunderstorms already occurring across the east side. This pattern will continue through Wednesday before much drier air arrives. As far as model precipitation during the next 3 days of thunderstorm activity, shows very little rainfall reaching the ground, just a few areas of purple pixels indicating less than 1/10 of an inch, while heavier amounts can be expected along the Sierra south of the Tahoe region. Looking at upcoming wind fields shows diminishing wind speeds across most areas. For today, shown here, main breeziness will be around the Greater Bay Area where westerlies will gust from 20 to 30 miles per hour. Also note the strong gusts around the Tahoe region in response to the model showing outflow winds from potential thunderstorms. The increase in recent fire activity is likely a product of very dry relative humidity across the region. Shown here is the min-RH for this afternoon, with many areas along I-5 and eastward showing near 10% and locally to single digits. The surge in moisture arriving will remain elevated, thus not bringing up surface RHs along the valley floors. Reviewing the Northern California 7-day significant fire potential table shows more brown boxes have been added to reflect the moderate risk of large fire across most interior areas through next week. This is in response to potential lightning through midweek, then followed by another period of much drier conditions and perhaps some increased west to southwest breeziness. Summarizing today's fire weather webcast highlights: high pressure to the east and a surge of tropical mid to upper level moisture arriving from the south-southwest will enhance thunderstorm threat across the North State through Wednesday of next week. Thunderstorm activity may increase today and tonight along the mountains surrounding the Sac Valley, with the focus area being the Sierra and Cascades. Nighttime activity is also possible, while most cells will be associated with limited precipitation. Periods of increased cloud cover along with isolated to scattered thunderstorms can be expected to continue over the next few days as mid to upper levels of the air mass remain moist. Despite the increase in moisture aloft, daytime RH and overnight recoveries remain low along and surrounding the Sac Valley each day. Min RH values will range from 10 to 20%, with locally down to single digits, while poor recoveries only reach 25 to 35% each night. Later next week, much drier air arrives, maintaining the very dry relative humidity and ending a thunderstorm threat, while an increase in general breeziness from the west and southwest is anticipated. This concludes today's fire weather webcast.